everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. My name is Melanie, and I have a special guest with me who is going to be a regular feature on my channel.
Ooh.
Hi, Lela. How are
I'm
you
gonna
doing?
be a regular. That's awesome.
Many of
Hey,
you may already know Lela from previous videos. She's a good friend of mine. She's a close to my heart maker and all around crafty gal. And we thought it would be fun to start a series this year where we invite you into our little creative coffee breaks where we just chit chat about all things crafty.
First and foremost, though, I think we have to talk about that I'm drinking coffee and you're drinking tea, right?
I am drinking tea for sure.
So we just want you to know that your coffee break can be anything, right?
Yeah,
Any
and more
beverage
often than not, I'll be drinking Diet Coke. So, although that
Right.
is something I'm hoping to kick this year. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
There you go. There you go. That's a fun way to start the new year. I think that's what we want to talk about, right? Is our coffee break sessions. We just want to talk about what's real, what's present, what's going on in our crafty lives, and maybe hot topics or what's going on in, as we see things come up in the industry, or if something excites us, for people to take a break and, share their thoughts with us on our coffee break.
Yeah, and for sure, we encourage you guys to leave comments below. If anything that we say triggers, something in you that you want to share with us, we really do want to invite you into our conversation.
I was just going to say, yeah, absolutely. And they don't have to be shy if they have a topic they want us to talk about, right? We'll talk about it in a coffee break if it has to do with crafting.
And both of us are scrapbookers, card makers, and dabblers in all things crafty. So you never know what may pop up.
But that leads to our next question I had for you, Mel, is do you have other crafty goals in 2023 besides just scrapbooking and card making?
And other than organizing my craft room.
Come on, that had to be 2022, but it's carrying over. Is that what you're telling us all?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, it took me like 8 months just to go through my 12 by 12 cardstock. So, yeah. But how about we save that for another coffee break, and we'll go in a little bit more in depth as to what we're all planning on doing this year, because we do want to keep these sessions to about 15 to 20 minutes, kind of truly to represent a coffee break. So yeah, so let's talk about crafty goals in the next session, and we'll share all the details. So before we get into those crafty goals, though, I thought it would be fun to just kind of chat about how you thought 2022 went.
My 2022 went maybe not as well as I wanted, production wise, right, for crafting. And I know that's kind of a conundrum I have, because crafting is supposed to be my hobby, but I still have goals and I still have things I want to get done. But at the same time, and probably like you, I want to beat myself up over not getting my hobby stuff done. But as you know, my work day life, which pays for my crafting, right, and hobby, kind of got a little bit busy toward the end of the year. And in my world, when it gets busy, that means more travel. And I just wasn't as prepared. Usually I'm a pretty good scrapper when I'm traveling. As you know, I'm good about putting it in my suitcase and still getting some things done. But I didn't do that as well this year. And I didn't get as much as I'd liked done. My goal was to get all my 2021 scrapping done in 2022. And I'm not quite done. I still have a few pages left. And probably toward the end of the year, I usually make a lot more cards to kind of have more of a card stash, and that just wasn't happening. So I feel like my crafty, life maybe took a little bit of a backseat to my day-to-day life, but there's always time for it coming up, and new plans and new ideas. So I did get quite a bit done at the beginning of 2022, but
So do you think a lot of that is attributed to just kind of being out of practice, with the way the world was since 2020, kind of staying more at home, more home focused, that perhaps you weren't quite prepared to head back into the thick of things?
100%. 100%. I used to be much more like prepared that when I went on the road, I would still, grab some crafty things and take them with me and get them done. And you're right, all of a sudden I felt I got thrown back into it. But I really didn't get thrown back into it, right? It was
Yeah.
just like, oh, we had to go back to,
Right.
if you call that normal work life, right? I'm not one of those that's worried about how many albums I make. So I have 4 albums for 2021.
Good for
And,
you.
I like,
Wow.
yeah, I like to scrap everything. And like I said, I have most of it done, but still have a few pages to get done. So I'm hoping to get that done in January,
Okay.
along with my December
Yeah.
album.
Okay. So we'll talk about the December album maybe in another episode, because
Yeah.
I really struggled with that whole idea, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to approach it. So I may be picking your brain for some ideas as to how to get that done and scrapped. I really was focused on cleaning up my craft room, which if I look at it right now, it does not look like I made any progress whatsoever. The good old domino effect really kicked in. And as I dealt with something and shifted stuff around, other stuff got misplaced. And so I am in the middle of actually right now going through all my stamps, which is quite the undertaking, because I have a massive stamp collection, I think, by an average standard.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it in over 10 years. So since I moved to California, I have not gone through and done a purge. So if any of you have been watching my purge videos, you'll know that I've actually gotten rid of quite a few. Well, they're now sitting in my living room. but eventually I will be letting them go, and hopefully going to a better home that can use them a little more than I have in the past few years. I made some really interesting discoveries, though, about myself, that I am an idea person. I have 1,000,001 ideas. I do not have enough time. So I have stamps I've never even touched. And that's a really sad situation.
I was just going to say, it's probably hard for you to purge them, because you still, when you see them, think, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. I thought about this.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how those ideas come back right away. It's like, oh yeah, that's right, I bought this because I wanted to do XYZ, or I wanted to use this for scrapbooking, or I wanted to make a specific card or something. So I need to come up with a strategy, I think, to be more effective in my scrapbooking, maybe, or I don't know, find a way to actually put those ideas into practice. I wouldn't say that I'm not productive, because I do think I scrapbook and make a lot of cards in the year. So I don't think that's too terrible. But a lot of times it's more like I'm flying by the seat of my pants versus, okay, you had these ideas, let's implement them and be a little more deliberate. Maybe that's the word, be a little more deliberate in my craft.
But do you think that creativity, with the ebb and flow of creativity, I feel the same way, right? Like, I'll be working on one idea or one, maybe I'm into summer scrapbooking, because again, I was trying to get some summer, and all of a sudden, something catches my eye, and I think either I have stamps like that, or I have something, right? Something inspires me, and I jump to something else, right? And I think it's hard to be deliberate, because you just don't know where the inspiration's going to come. And I think inspiration's the key to, scrapping and stamping and, media, art journaling, whatever you do, it's all about the inspiration that's motivating you at the time.
Well, and what excites you, right? Because you want it to be fun. You don't want it to be, back to your point, you don't want it to be work, right? Like,
Right.
It should be fun. So you're right in the sense that I don't want to be too deliberate, but maybe, I don't know, maybe have a list of those ideas on standby that I can peruse and go, yeah, you know what, I that was a great idea, and I feel like doing that now, to use those items. I unfortunately am not very good about saying, oh, I can't buy anything new until I use them. I know there's people that are like that. That is not me.
That is not me. And the more I try to tell myself that, the more I spend, I think. It's
Yeah.
like putting myself on a diet, and that diet pushes me right off the deep end. I was one of those people that, magazines or idea books or whatever, and I'd put stickers in, with arrows or marker, page markers or whatever. And that would, I always think that's how I would use my ideas or things like that. I've kind of gotten away from that. I was just thinking about that the other day. Like, that's how I used to kind of get started at the beginning of the year, is pull a couple of those out and, go, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But
I think those are still great tools to have in your back pocket when perhaps momentum is not on your favor and you maybe have stalled with crafting. And you know how you get to that point where you're like, I want to craft, but I just don't know where to start or how to get started. And you know how it is, once you get that creative ball rolling, you get more and more excited, or at least that's how it works for me, right? And
100%.
the ideas start flowing, like you said earlier. So
I'll have some products out that maybe I won't put away because, oh, I liked that, or I did this, and then it'll lead into either the next page or the card or art journal or, or something fun like that. So I definitely think momentum in scrapbooking is key, right? Like, once you get going, you really get going. I always do well this time of year, Melanie. It's the craziest thing. And I don't know if it's because I live in the Midwest and the weather gets horrible here, so you're not really wanting to go out anyway. For me, like December through March, April is always more of a creative time. I don't know. It's kind of strange. I don't know. I'm interested to hear what other people, if they have, seasons where they scrap more or do more or more inspired. But I'm always more inspired in the winter, which is crazy.
I think it's pretty normal for people that live in the northern hemisphere, and especially in more the northern part, right? Where your where your summer is so short that you want to just get out and enjoy that instead of being inside scrapbooking. And that totally makes sense to me. Ironically for me, because I do live in a warmer climate, I can still create more creative at this time of year. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that work kind of slows down for the Christmas season. And then leading up to December, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, it's crazy busy with holiday festivities and that kind of stuff, but work kind of is heading towards that Christmas break, and then the stress levels for me go, which actually increases my creativity, which is interesting. The other thing is that momentum really works with purging too, because I found once I started letting stuff go, it was easier to let stuff go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think this took on more of an all-year project for you than you expected, right?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Yeah. I honestly thought I was going to be done by like February. And I didn't expect the paper to go all the way through to I think it was August before I finished. And that's just 12 by 12 cardstock. I didn't even go through the 6 by 6 stuff. And then, then I do my punches, and then I had to do my dies and stencils. And so I'm feeling good about the progress I'm making with stamps. So there'll be more videos up on that here shortly. I'm feeling really good, and I'm just going to roll with that ball. That's rolling.
Already moving. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
it'd be fun to see at the end of next year how much that impacted your creativity for 2023. Because I feel like organization, and you have everything kind of in a new place and in a new way to get to it. And that always inspires me. So we'll be looking for big things from you.
I hope so. I had to laugh. My boyfriend was over, and he says, I think you just need a bigger room. I'm like, yeah, but that's not going to happen. So I have to make this work. And I really do have way too much stuff, but it's so hard to let it go because I just sit there and see the possibilities. And I guess I have to live to 500 in order to use up all the possibilities.
There you go. Well, I always tell myself it'll give me something to do when I'm retired, but I'm sure I'll find other things to do.
I've heard it said that you're more busy during your retirement than you were before. That's what people have told me. So I don't know. We'll see.
I've heard the same thing. We'll both have to find out, right? Well, this has been a fun first coffee break. I am really looking forward to taking coffee breaks with you, especially when we can talk about crafting, because let me just tell you that my coffee breaks are usually not quite as fun. So looking forward
Absolutely.
to these. Yeah.
Absolutely. And our hope is probably to do these about every 2 weeks. I think we'll try and see how that goes. I know we both have really busy schedules coming up. I know I've got a quite busy travel year for me, nothing compared to you, but for me it's quite busy. So we'll see how this pans out. For those of you that are hanging out with us, make sure to leave a comment below. And if you like this kind of chit-chatty video, we'd love to hear from you regarding that. And I think that's it. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, Lela.
Have a good coffee break.
We'll see you next time.